Hey there, Scott of Super Nintendo SP's Game Room here. What you looking at right here? It's a brand new Retro-Bit Retro-Cade. Yeah, I'm reviewing that today. It's actually quite the fantastic console. It's got HDMI hookup all the way to this TV here. You see the menu screen. All different kinds of games from, you know, your arcade games like 1942, 10-Yard Fight. Excuse me. There was another one on screen. An exclusive Armored Warriors. Anyway, this part of the video is about the hardware aspect. It can connect controllers like my Retro-Bit SNES style USB controller, which I may or may not have reviewed earlier. Please do comment below if I have not reviewed it, because for shame, I will put it up. Yeah, it's got a very clean interface. Power button, USB controllers, the HDMI hookup, and most intriguingly, an S-video card port. I will see you on the flip side to show you more of a software aspect to it. Okay, so now for the software aspect of the Retro-Cade. All the included games include 1942, Bad Dudes if you were ever into that, 10-Yard Fight, one of my favorites, 1943, The Battle of Midway, Armored Warriors, which is one of the two brand new legal exclusives to this, and the other being Boogie Wings, which was also known as the Great Ragtime Show in Japan. You've got classics like Bionic Commando, Captain Commando, Double Dragon games being 1 and 3. I don't honestly see why the Revenge isn't on there, which is Double Dragon 2. There's your Fighter's History, which is a seemingly clone of Street Fighter, but it has its own quirks. All of the Final Fight games. Yeah, don't get me started about the PS2 one. Shh. Come on, Capcom, reboot it. Ghouls and Ghosts for arcade, and there's also the Super Nintendo version. Gunsmoke, a classic arcade game that's one of the more valuable NES games now. Holy Diver, which is a magic-based Castlevania clone, though it's hardly a clone with the gameplay it has. Joe and Mac series, especially Joe and Mac 2. Oh, classic. Knights of the Round, really good beat 'em up. Sure would have been nice if they included Dungeons and Dragons, but oh well. There's Mega Man 2 and 3. Though those two entries I'm not too fond of. I prefer 4 and 6 over them. Mighty Final Fight. An okay beat 'em up. Should have been 2-player. Mutant Fighter. Excellent arena beat 'em up. You can play as many different races, including a dragon. A dragon. You don't get to play as a dragon very often. R-Type 3 is Strider. Side Pocket's really good. His trick shots are a little weird, but apparently they're replicatable because I've seen somebody pull through the whole trick shenanigans there. Street Fighter 2010 is an action game rather than a beat 'em up, and that's why, rather than a beat 'em up or a fighting game, because I mean, and people harp on it because it's not a Street Fighter game really. What doesn't matter to you? It's a good game. Super Dodgeball for those of you who liked it. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, what I talked about earlier. Three Wonders. The chariot mode of this game inspired a boss fight on Cuphead. Varth is a really good shoot 'em up. Pain in the butt if you lose all your lives sometimes though. Wizard Fire. That's a really good Gauntlet style game. Now, all these games are included when you buy the Retro-Cade. Retro-Cade is $90. But what really stretches out your $90 is the SD card compatibility. Sure, I could select local storage and use the SD card for saved files. What? Come on. So there we go. I've got many different arcade games on here. I can wipe that off the map. No, not this the particular version, excuse me. 19XX should have been included in the Retro-Cade collection. Carrier Air Wing and UN Squadron both should have been included. If not just Carrier Air Wing, because of UN Squadron's licensing troubles. Oh, they gave me all sorts of excuses when I demanded it. Of course, your two Super Mario Brothers games. Don't get me started about the two that we got here. It wasn't bad, but it isn't the real thing. Aero Fighters 2. I've got it on Switch, but I might want this one on the go too. Ironclad, too bad it doesn't work. Too bad King of Fighters 98 doesn't work. Thank God I've got that on Switch. Lots of games on here. Grump's Dream Course. A Kirby's Dream Course hack where, of course, everything is brand new and you play as the Game Grumps crew. Pretty cool game. Perfect for those who have played the crap out of Kirby's Dream Courses, multiplayer courses. Jack Nicklaus Golf. Far ahead of its time. The two Power Rangers games, which are amazing. It nearly converted me into a Power Rangers fan. Glad I didn't do that. Don't get me wrong, the series is okay, but it's goofy, to say the least. These two, you can actually take a little seriously in terms of gameplay. Monopoly, funny as hell. Must play for any board game enthusiast. Pilot Wings. Wait till you see my foobar playthrough of it. It was crazy. I recorded it on this device, by the way. Super Mario World: The Second Reality Project. Fantastic hack. Super Battle Tank War in the Gulf. Well, it might be a little boring, but you know what? You get to be in a freaking tank. Seriously. The whole panel is inspired by the real thing. And CNN's shots at the time. CNN was really good at the time, but, you know, I'm not going to get into politics here. I'm about tech. It's none of my business. Terranigma. Too bad it wasn't released here in the US. Of course, your Top Gear games and Tetris Attack. UN Squadron, my favorite. You know it. And Wild Guns. Yeah. Tough as nails. Fun as hell. I could say the same for Smash TV. So yeah, the way the Retro-Cade works with Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, the original Nintendo, works with most arcade games, works with a lot of Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games. Did I mention the Genesis? Pretty sure I did. Even if not, I did just now. All of those systems work on the Retro-Bit Retro-Cade. Too bad the Neo Geo games don't work too well on this, with the exception of Sonic Wings 2. Oh well. Anyway, that ends my review of the Retro-Bit Retro-Cade. Easily worth your $90, hands down. Buy RetroLink USB controllers to go with it, NES and SNES. You won't regret it. This is Scott for Super Nintendo SP's Game Room. You have a good one.